Hi everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with the first of many episode installments, whatever we want to say, to I'm just right now going to call it the card makers / paper crafters informational series. Let's go with that. In this series, I'm going to break down with a focus for card makers, but it doesn't mean that paper crafters can't take these items that I'm talking about and putting them into what they do, whether that's art journaling, creating journals, creating 12 by 12 scrapbook pages, or anything like that. Okay, so all of this can be combined. I just haven't come up with a snappy name yet. And yes, I have somebody going by with a Harley and wanting to race their vehicle. So I am so sorry if you hear that. Oh my goodness, people are bored. So so far I've grown, we're close to 20 episodes. These videos, I'm just going to give a couple disclaimers here. These videos are going to be long. I am going to be gabby with the information. Please know this as well. The information that I'm giving you is things that I have found out with me working with these products. You're also going to hear some of the products that I like. Okay? So please know that this really is not a comparison. This is what you need. These are the tools, the steps, the components of a paper crafting, card making world. And again, with the emphasis, yay, with card making. Okay. So please keep that in mind. I may say something that somebody else thinks differently. I may say something wrong. I may use the product the way it wasn't intended for, okay? So please keep that in mind. And I am in no way saying that I know everything. This is what I've just learned over my time. So let's just get that so that nobody has to scream at me and say, it's not that. Okay, I'm just saying. Just saying. All right. So I'm hoping that these are helpful for you. So this is almost going to be the Card Makers Academy. There you go. I need to write that down. So, let's start. Yes, I'm writing this down. There we go. Episode 1. What are we going to talk about in episode 1? Well, the first thing that we need in card making is paper. We've got to have paper. So, everybody's got paper. There's all kinds of paper. There's different weights in papers. There's confusions with papers. So let's see if I can help you break that down. Okay. So the first thing that we need is a card base. So let's break it down that way. Now, a lot of people use the Neenah Solar White in 110 pound for their card bases. Now, and when we say 110 pound, it is a cover weight. I know that if you go into an office supply shop like Staples or Office Max, you will find a ream of Neenah Solar White 110 pound. That is text weight. All right, it is a lot lighter because it goes through a printer, okay? You would need a special printer to run a 110 pound cover weight. So that is what, if you want to use the Neenah Solar White 110 pound for your card base, then you want to make sure that the package says cover. And it's usually sold in reams of 250. And it looks just as thick as a 500 ream, okay? And a ream is a packet of paper wrapped up, okay? I do not use the Neenah Solar White 110 pound for my card bases. And I will be absolutely honest. I'm going to be transparent in this. It is too expensive to use that as a card base. Now, and the reason why I say that is if you've seen my previous videos, or if you're new here today, welcome. You can look back on my previous videos. 9 out of 10, I am building my design on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 or 4 by 5 1/4 piece of cardstock, and then I'm taking that and putting it on to my card base. Now, I keep card bases cut next to me, so I'm just going to grab one. All right, this is my card base that I use. Now, what do I use? I'll get in a minute what I use the Neenah 80 pound for, because I do get that. I will admit, this one ream will last me a year, if not more. Because again, we can take an 8 1/2, and I'm grabbing one now. We can take an 8 1/2 by 11 piece of paper. If we cut it in half at 4 1/4, and we cut it again at 5 1/2, we now have 4 front card panels. So a 250 ream or sheet ream is going to give me 1,000 cards. I don't know if I make that many cards in a year. Oh, I'm sure I do. But again, so that's why this Neenah Solar White can last me so long. I use this for one thing and two things. Two things and two things only. Okay? I use it when I do alcohol marker coloring, because there is nothing more. I've tried others and I'm very comfortable with this cardstock. Okay? For the way that I work with alcohol markers. The other thing I use it is when I want a crisp sentiment. I will use this, and when I stamp my layering stamps. So 3 things. All right, the inks sit better on the Neenah Solar Crest paper. Okay, I get a crisper image when I'm doing my layering dies and when I do my sentiments. Okay, so that's if I'm going directly onto this, and I'm not ink blending first, or putting a die cut down first, or other pieces of cardstock or pattern paper. That's when I will use the Neenah 80 pound. This sheet here is the same as this, and what I do is I get a ream of this. Again, it's 250 pages or sheets, and I cut it what I have heard so many times by Lindsay the Frugal Crafter, the hot dog way. When you cut it at the 5 1/2 inch mark, that's the hamburger way. So I like a top folding card. So I keep a stack of 4 1/4 by 11 inch long pieces of this cardstock, and the only thing I use this cardstock for are my card bases. You're probably sitting there saying, okay, Des, just get to it. What is it? I get this from the paper mill store. Oh, there's more pieces that fell out. Okay, I get it from the paper mill store. It is by Mohawk. And let me see if I can get this up for you. So if you want to, I'll hold this here for a little bit if you want to write that down. So it is the Bright White Smooth 110, and there's that word cover, 8 1/2 by 11 paper. Now, even though it says smooth, it does not take to alcohol markers well. Okay, it doesn't, it really bleeds. Okay, so this is not, I do not recommend this for alcohol marker. This ream, okay, for my card bases, costs, I believe it's about $25 a ream, which is close to half the price of a ream of Neenah Solar White. So again, I'm just looking at a card base because again, 9 out of 10, I am putting my design on another piece of paper, and then I'm adhering it to the front of this card base. Now, when it comes to this, I do grab my scoreboard. I will grab my paper creaser and I will score at 5.5. This is how I will get my top folding card bases. Top folding. All right. If I want a slimline card base, my slimline card bases are 8.5 by 3.5. So that means I'm going to remove 4 inches from this piece. So I'm going to cut it right here. This gives me an 8.5 by 7. And then I score it along the 7-inch line at 3.5. That gives me my 8.5 by 3.5 inch slimline card base. I can also get a 4 by 4 card base. So I'm getting 2 card bases from one sheet of 8.5 by 11. Okay, so when you make a lot of cards, these are things that at least I thought of, because I am making a lot of cards. I'm making them to give you guys tutorials, and there's, you know, a lot rolling through. I have the side area as well where I'm making cards for other people as well. So again, to look at that, that's for a slimline, I can get 2 bases. Same thing with a regular standard A2 size card, which is 4.25 by 5.5. I can get 2 card bases from each sheet. So a 250 sheet ream is going to give me 500 card bases. I do order about, I go through about 3 of these reams, 3 to 3.5 a year. Okay, so it is extremely cost effective. Now that's just the card bases. Again, I do use the Nina Solar 80 pound. I never get the 110 pound. All right, and I use the 80 pound for layering, stamping, and alcohol marker. And that's the only way that I use this paper. Okay, it's a wonderful quality paper. It honestly is. But again, for card bases, Okay, now there are others. Now Recollections, which is by Michaels, I have a local Michaels near me. They have a brand that's called Recollections. And it is a very good cardstock. Okay, so I'm going, and as you can see, I have it. Now they have a 110 pound cardstock. You can hear that? It's nice and thick. This is extremely sturdy. And it's great for card bases. You can get 100 sheets. All right. And it comes in ivory, brown, gray, black, white, and other colors. They're building this line up with other colors. I'm waiting for the rainbow pack. And you could use this. You get 100 sheets for about $15 when it's not on sale. When it does go on sale, it can go down to 10. So this is a little bit, it's getting 2 of these. You would need 3. You're close to the cost of what I'm paying for the Mohawk. But this is convenient. It's at a local card shop or local craft store. And it is good paper. Now again, this is their 110 pound. They're starting to get into mirrors and they're starting to get into shimmers as well. This, I will use this if I know I'm ink blending. So if I'm doing an ink blending background, I will pull this out. Because this has a great texture. This is also good for colored pencils, if you're into colored pencils, because it's got a nice tooth. And we'll get into that into another video. They also have, now when it comes to their colors, okay, the vibrant colors, the rainbow colors, those off colors, these are 65 pounds, All right, so they are a little bit thinner than 80, of course. They still have some sturdy. I do believe, though, their craft, which is my favorite. If you've all seen, you know I've said this before. I love their craft. This is the only craft cardstock I will use. It's a lighter weight, but I love their packets. You get 50 sheets. There's usually 4 to 5 different colors. So if there's 5 colors, you're going to get 10 sheets of each. You can get these when these are on sale for $2 a piece. If they're not, then I believe they're like $4.50 or close to $5. And again, I'm not going to keep going through prices. These are, if I know the price off the top of my head, I'll give that to you. That's not what this is about. But you can see, you get these beautiful shades of all of these reds in one packet. And they have about 20 different packets, I believe, that are available. All right, with all, you know, shades of green, shades of blue, yellow, oranges. Sometimes they're called sunset. Sometimes they're called spice. They're great fall colors. So these are wonderful. When there's a sale, you've now just stocked up on colored cardstock for layering die cutting, for creating your mats, for layering your cardstock. This, when I'm doing that Simplicity series, this is the cardstock that I'm using when it comes to the solid colors. And I do apologize for that glare from my lights. Okay, this is what I'm grabbing for. Okay, so I'm not creating too much bulk. You guys have seen how much I collage with paper. Okay, could you imagine if I have all of those layers and they were 100 pounds? I mean, the card would be like that. Be awesome, but it would be like that. It would be difficult to mail. So this, I do recommend the Lex. You can get it online. Just search for their Recollections. And again, I'll try to have links down below if you want to look at any of the things here. I do believe, though, that their craft is a little bit heavier than 65 pounds unless they make it straight from a paper bag. I'm just saying, because to me, this just feels a little thicker. To me, that looks a little thicker, but it is, this is the cardstock that I use for my journal covers. This is the cardstock that I use within my journals. If you're seeing a heavy craft, this is what it is. I do like the Desert Storm for some things. If I'm die cutting, and just other general things. I just like this color. Okay, so that is your Recollections and the difference that they have there. Now, of course, there's many, many other companies that are out there with cardstock. You have My Favorite Things, and they have sampler packs, which are great. My Favorite Things has a few sampler packs where you'll get 2 sheets of each of their colors, which is a great way to start. Again, My Favorite Things is 110 pounds. Simon Says Stamp has a 24 set, sorry, loud crinkle going on here, of their cardstock. And their cardstock in this packet is 100 pounds. Again, you get 24 sheets, and I believe there's 2 of each of the colors in this. Spellbinders has recently just launched, and I keep my paper both in manila folders and clear plastic folders. That's for another video. This here is 100 pound as well, and they just recently launched this. There are some beautiful colors in this collection, and it is a very nice cardstock. Before, yes, people, I would see all the comments that people would make regarding their cardstock in the kits. It had a texture, it was flimsy. This is not that. It is a beautiful, beautiful cardstock, very comparable to everybody else. Concord and Ninth just came out with a cardstock. That is wonderful as well. Stampin' Up. To me, Stampin' Up's got the best value, 25 sheets for $8.99. And I believe their cardstock is about 100 pounds. I believe. Okay, so there are so many choices out there. Okay, but those are the ones that I have. I will only speak on ones that I have. And all of those that I've mentioned, I've used, and I do keep a stock of in my shop. Now, those are the 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardstock. Solid cardstock can also come in other forms. Altenew came out with their variegated. So it matches their ink line. So you get the 4 different colors. These are small sheets. These measure 3 by 6. So they are made to go into their little die cutter. Or if you have the other mini die cutters that are out there. But you automatically get 4 color choices, especially when working with their layered dies. But this can certainly be used for anything else. This is also 65 pounds. Okay, this is nice. So it's convenient, small in size, doesn't take up much space. You can also get solid cardstock in 6 by 6 pads. Memory Box just recently launched this set, and they have, and I'm looking back there, 9 packets of this. There are 12 shades, and you get 4 6 by 6 pieces of paper of each. The cardstock is double-sided, just like with any. Now, this does have a white core. I like that white core. I think it adds dimension and it adds texture. Some people may not. Okay. But to have all of these colors in one 6 by 6 pad is awesome. To me, this is actually convenient. All right. It's not textured. It's smooth. And it's 110 pounds. It's not a paper pad. Okay, and when I do this, that means the paper pad is actually paper. Very flimsy paper, like 65 pounds or less. Okay, so those are your options when it comes to your solid cardstock. Okay, you can also get solid cardstock in 12 by 12 sheets. I couldn't grab one of them. I do have those pads as well. Got those also from Michael's, but there is a texture on them and they do not glue well together. But they are good for mats and I will use them. And they are a thick cardstock. So that's the only one that I'm really not showing. There's other papers though. So now we go into our pattern paper. So pattern papers, just like our solid, comes in many sizes. So let's start with our 12 by 12. Now, let's talk about weights. So here we have a 12 by 12 and it is paper. This feels like copy paper. This is truly paper. These are the pads, again, Recollections that you can get at Michael's where there's 180 sheets. I use these in my journals because they can tear. I can crumble them and I can have fun with these. Sew on them. I can ink these. I can stamp on them. But I can also make pages out of these. I also take these, and this is what I use to make my paper beads out of. These packets. Again, 180 sheets. I already have a design on the paper, so as I'm rolling my paper beads up, I already get that mixture of colors that roll through it. Can you use this for card making? Absolutely. You can use this within your mats. You can use this within anything you want. It's not a card base and it's not for 12 by 12 scrapbooking. This page here is by Lawn Fawn. Look at those cute little buddies. Oh, they're so cute. And this is from the Wool Socks Remix, in case you wanted to know. This is a little bit thicker. This is, let's see here if it says it on here. I want to say it feels, and I don't want to say the wrong weight. I want to say this is close 80 pounds. All right. But again, cute. This would be good for a scrapbook page, 12 by 12 page. You can cut this up for your card base or for your mats. I don't recommend it for your card bases because again, it is in the 80-pound range. Again, when we put all of that weight on the front of a card, sometimes if you do a lot of layering, it's going to buckle. It's actually going to collapse on the back. Like if you do especially if you do a top folding card, all right, this back will actually buckle down and then it'll actually do one of these things. So this will stay straight, but this will actually curve in. If I know I'm going to do something very heavy in the front, I will make a side fold card. Have it be 4 1/4 or 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but have it open to the side because then it'll just sit that way and the weight is evenly distributed between it. Okay, so keep that in mind as you're making your card bases. What are you going to do in front of that? If I've already put it onto a top folding card, I will add another piece of cardstock here to make that stronger so that it sits up like this and holds its shape. Or I'll put a mechanism to, when it comes apart, it stops after a while. All right, if it's a show piece, if it's a, a design piece that's supposed to sit there and not really a greeting card to open up and read. So again, you can use this for your match, you can use this for cutouts, for die cutting, and anything else you're looking for. Then there's those paper pads that are like 110 pounds. I mean, this is super thick. Again, you can do the same thing. Scrapbook page will definitely hold up on a scrapbook page. You can cut it to create your mats, create your backgrounds. You can even also use this to use as your card base. With a 12 by 12, if you cut your card bases 4 inches, you can get 3. All right, but you'll definitely be able to get 2 card bases, 4 1/4 by 11, and then you'll have extra that's left over. So, just keep that in mind. But they do have that in a 12 by 12 size. And then, of course, they also come in an A4 size. This is just a Prima pad. Again, this is really thick. I think this is close to 110 pounds. It's double-sided. Also, when it comes to your 12 by 12, these are double-sided. I have many that are not, where the other side is just white. So if that's something that you look for, it'll say it on the front, double-sided designs. Or it'll say single-sided. Or you can take your pad and just look and flip through it and see you've got designs on each side. You can also get these paper pads in 8 by 8. I know Graphic 45. Am I saying that right? So they sell the 8 by 8 pads. You can also get journaling card pads. You get all these different sizes. Here's a 6 by 6 pad. Okay. Look at the cute little guys. Oh, they're so adorable. All right. And this is very thick as well. This is in the range of 80 pounds also. So I'm trying to see if it says, these are double-sided as well. Okay, now it says 200 GSM. Okay, guys, put that in the notes. I don't know what that means. I don't do the conversions. I'm just saying. So, you can read. Sometimes it'll say what the weight is. Look at theirs. They're so cute. Yes, there's going to be a video on that. So those are your pattern papers. And again, I have a simplicity series where I'm just showing, let your pattern paper do the work for you. Pattern paper is beautiful. You can make beautiful cards out of it. You don't have to stamp. You don't have to ink. You don't have to do any of that. We hoard paper. I will stand up and say, yes, I am a paper hoarder. I'm addicted to it. Okay? But let's use it. And so through that Simplicity series, I've been using up my scraps, using up those extra pieces that are either coming in kits or things that I just had to have. And it feels good to do that and to be able to use those. But the number of cards that you can get from these packs are great, especially when they have sentiments built in and these little cards and everything else. You can do so much with these paper pads. So that's your pattern paper. Now, there's other papers. So I'm just going to real quick pull these in. Hold on here. And what these are the glitters, the foils, or mirror cardstocks. And then, of course, the textured cardstocks. Tonic is known for their texture papers. They have wonderful colors. They have wonderful designs. These are at a higher price point. They do run sales, and they run awesome sales by all means. But again, these are good for backgrounds. These are good. I like to use these when I'm doing a die cut and this is in the background. This is what I'm using this for. Or to just simply create textures on the front of my card. That is what I use these for. Okay? So very unique, very specialized. You have your glitters. Now, I'm very particular with glitter paper, and it comes in all sizes. You can get it in 8.5, you can get it in 6x6. This packet here was by My Favorite Things. These are small packets that Simon Says offers. This is the 24 pack by Memory Box of 6x6, and these are all the colors that you get. And then, of course, Simon Says does have 8.5 by 11 sheets as well. Excuse me. Hold on here. Let me get a sip. I'm doing a lot of talking here. And hopefully you did not hear my gulp. These are the glitters that I will use. They do not come off on my finger, no matter if I cut them or not. I do not have glitter that goes all over the place, but boy, I've got a beautiful glimmer image there. It just really shines. This is more of a pearlescent that they have, but again, it does not come off. So these are the only three. My Favorite Things, Memory Box, and Simon Says. This is where I stopped because, again, the glitter just does not come off my fingers. And to me, it's just key. It is just absolute key for me. I am not a glitter person. I have used glitter in the past, and I'm still finding it around my room. I'm still finding it. So that's just one thing that I look for. The final type of cardstock that I'm going to talk about is you have mirrored cardstock. Okay, now these here, now this is going to get really wicked on my screen, so I'll apologize now. Okay, so now I'm missing something here. Hold on. And I'm sorry, I just like totally wigged all of that out all over the place for you. So your mirror cardstocks, hold Your mirror cardstocks have just that sheen, okay? So this here, this is Simon Says, so that's got a print. It's a hologram. I'm going to try to avoid all of these glares that you guys are about to get. So there are imprints on them. Here is their holographic, which is awesome to look at. I am a fan of the holographic papers, okay? Pink and Main just recently came out with some. Love their designs in there. They are 6x6 and you get 12 sheets, and they state that they are 100 pounds. All right, so they had two different packs that were available. Now, Tonic, I'm going to close that up so it won't kill you anymore, although it's kind of pretty looking. Tonic has multiple types of mirrored cardstock. So there's their holographic, and then they have a satin effect mirror cardstock. So it's not as glimmery the way that I want to say it, if that makes sense. Now let me grab one more here. Okay. And then they also, so this has got a satin finish. You're not seeing things. It's just a satin look. You can't see my phone in the reflection. You can just see the shadow. Here is their mirror. And it looks just like a mirror. And if I tilt this, you're going to look up my nose. There you go. Okay. This is a true mirror. That's my phone. It's as if you are looking in a mirror. I mean, look at that. I mean, you can see the complete reflection of my hand. They have many colors and many styles available. Okay. Memory Box, they just did this whole release. They have their own mirror cardstock. Now, when it comes to, now I'm going to keep it flipped upside down because that is just wicked. This cardstock here is like 100. It doesn't say, but it is over, it's a minimum 110 pounds. I mean, this is very thick. This is probably close to 120, 130. Okay, very, very thick. So it's really nice. The Memory Box is thin. It's a thin weight. You can tell just because I'm able to bend it like that. I don't think it says... They call this the polished foil pad. And it does not say the weight. But you get great colors. You get all of these colors in this. You get, there's 12, and you get 2 sheets of each. And again, it's a 6x6. It's more convenient for storing. And then, of course, there's Tim Holtz. He has his line of mirror cardstock. Now, his is a blend in between. It's between the Tonic mirror, the shiny stuff, and their satin. So you can still see, still kind of getting that reflection in there. You can see my hand as it gets closer, but it does have a satin feel to it. Now, he's come out, I believe he's got 4 styles of mirror cardstock. This is the gold and silver. He's got the rose gold and copper. I think he's got one with champagne and black, which I think is a black matte. And then he's got 2 that have the jewels. One's pastel and one's bright. So I am a fan of his. Now, for those of you that know me, you're rolling your eyes because you know I'm just a fan of Tim Holtz. But the reason why I like his is because of the craft backing. You can actually flip it. Okay, so you can get a 2-for-1 or a twofer out of this cardstock in no time. Those are the cardstocks that we're going to talk about in this video. Now, there are others. And you're all saying, yeah, but what about, I'll be talking about watercolor paper, color pencil paper, Bristol paper, alcohol ink, mixed media, and all of those. as we get to the coloring. That's when I'll bring those papers in because they are specialty papers. All right. You need what I've just shown here when it comes to all of these different cardstocks. You need these to be able to create and start the process for the card maker. This is where you start. Got to have paper. Got to have something to stamp on. Right? Okay. The only measurements, and I get this asked a lot of times when I do my Simplicity series. Well, what were your measurements on this? And what were your measurements on this? And guys, I apologize. There's only 2 measurements that I worry about. Truly, truly worry about. That's my card base. And again, 9 out of 10, I am using a standard A2 size card base, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's usually a top folding card base. The design that goes on this, I'll call that my design mat that I put on top, is usually also cut to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, or it's cut to 4 by 5 1/4 so that I can have a border going around it. I am cutting 4 to 5 1/4 if it's a watercolor piece or a mirror cardstock or a pattern paper, because again, I want a border that goes around it. When I cut those other pieces, I'm then taking and I want to grab just a plain piece of cardstock so I'm not blinding people anymore. Here we go. So if I take, when I do all of those cuts, I am always and usually taking the cardstock and putting it down. So here's what I mean by that. So I'm going to take my cutter. You're going to hear a loud, obnoxious cut. And I'm sorry for the shaking of the camera. I just make cuts, and I usually do that either on camera. You'll see me just cutting things. I'm cutting my bases, and then I've got all these pieces. And then I'm coming back in, and I take my piece, and I place it down onto my solid piece of cardstock, and I hold it there, and I will cut around it with my long shears. I am okay if this is crooked. I am okay if it's not perfect. There's my mat. We are not Hallmark people. And I know I make people laugh every time I say that. But we're not. Now, that doesn't mean I am minimizing those that can truly go crazy and say, okay, that's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. I can't have that not be perfect. Art is not perfect. It's beautiful. That's what art is. It's absolutely beautiful. But I understand that someone may look at that and say, I can't have that like that. I can't do that. And I understand. So as you're creating your cards, take your piece and measure it. Now this piece measures 2 by 4 1/4. So let's write that down. So this is 2 inches by 4 1/4 inches. Okay? This mat here should measure 2 1/4 by 4 1/2. So let's say it's close to 2 1/4 and it's close to 4 1/2. Now, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to cut a 2 1/4 by 4 1/2. As a matter of fact, I'm going to cut a couple pieces. So I'm going to cut 4 1/2 by 2 1/4. And then I'm going to cut 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. Is that right? Yes. You can see that I've gone up 1/4 of an inch. All right, 1/4 of an inch. Now I'm going to move this because that's the one that I cut myself. I don't want to confuse or stress anyone out. Let's get those out of the way. Best tool ever. This one here is cut to 2 1/4 by 4 1/2. So when I take this piece, you are going to have 1/8 of an inch border going around each side. If I take 1/8 plus 1/8, that's the extra quarter. 2 1/4 to 2 1/2. This side is 4 1/4. So this is cut to 4 1/2. So I can get 1/8 down here and 1/8 mat up there. So whatever your original piece measures, to get 1/8 of an inch border for it, add 1/4 of an inch. Okay? Just add that 1/4 of an inch. If you want 1/4 of an inch border around everything, cut 1/2 an inch around each of your pieces. Now this looks off. And that's because I'm off 1/4 of an inch. So, and you'll see it. You will see it right away. Cut that down. See, I'm a true crafter. So again, if you want 1/8 of an inch border around, you add 1/4 to what this piece measures. That's going to be on top. If you want 1/4 of an inch all the way around, you add 1/2 an inch. So now when I put this in here, now I've got 1/4 of an inch on each side. So again, since this is 2 inches, this needs to be cut 2 1/2. Since this is 4 1/4, this needs to be cut 4 3/4. So you just keep going up that 1/2 or that 1/4 of an inch, depending upon the size of border you want. But again, I do just take the pieces that I've cut from the pattern paper and I place it onto my solid, and I just cut up no matter what size base that I want. And I know that that drives people crazy. I know it does, but that's the way that I craft. Again, enjoy it, have fun with it. But again, for those that need those specific measurements, that's what you are looking for. Okay? So keep that in mind. I hope that helped. That was the last thing that I wanted to talk about when it came to paper. Now you can make your card bases other sizes as well. You can have a 5 1/2 by 7. You can have a 6 by 6. You can have a 7 by 7. You can make your own card bases for that. And I used to. I don't anymore. I have found, and I keep an eye out for when Tonic has a sale. They have awesome sales, and I'm grabbing these, and I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys have seen them, but they do these sales of their card blanks and envelopes. You get 10 of each. You get 10 bases and 10 envelopes. So the envelopes are already there as well. The bases are 111 pounds weight, the card bases, and the envelopes are 44-pound weight. But here's a 6 by 6, here's a 7 by 7, and here's a 5 by 7. This is what I will get. And if you've seen my channel, I don't do them often. So again, I don't have a huge stock of these, but when they go on sale, you can get, I believe the last sale that I saw, I got a white 5x7, 7x7, 6x6, and an ivory. And I love their ivory because it's an ivory white, like it says. It's a soft ivory. It's not a, it's like an eggshell. And then one of each in the ivory white, and it was like $13. So it was extremely reasonable, and I haven't gone through them yet. So this is what I do. Can you make your card bases? Yes, but you're going to be using multiple sheets of 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And to me, it's wasteful. It's going to balance itself out in the end. So I do hope you found this helpful. Again, we've been gabbing, I've been talking, nothing about paper. I'm sure there is some paper that I missed. Vellum. Vellum is another piece of paper, you know, that we can use as well. Can it be used for a card base? Yes. You got to make sure, though, you have that heavy weight. So there's all kinds of things, but the vellums and the acetates, I'm going to be showing in other videos. So we'll talk more about those as we continue through. I will have a download. If you go to my blog, I will have a download that explains the measurement theory that I went through. So maybe that would help. And I'll give some examples. If you cut a 2" by 2" square and you want a 1/8 border, you're going to cut it 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, or 2 1/2, 2 1/2 if you want a 1/4 inch border. And I'll try to have some diagrams. So I'll have that set up, but that'll be at my blog. So you want to make sure that you look for that. I'll also post it in on my page, and also in the group too, just as a side piece as well. Okay, guys, I hope you found this helpful. Again, my perspective, what I've learned over the time, what I've thought about through the years that I've been a paper crafter for this time. As I said, I'll try to link. I can't link to everything. I'll link to some things down below. Again, we just talked about paper, but I'll make sure the paper mill paper's down there if you want to check that out or check out that site. If you have any questions, if you think I didn't answer a question that you have, or maybe you have a tip out there, please make sure you leave that down below. We can all continue to learn. You guys, a lot of the times, teach me something and inspire me to look at something a little bit differently. And that's what I love about this community. All right, so make sure you leave those down below. Remember, we are not Hallmark. We are to enjoy this. We are to have fun. If you're not enjoying this or having fun, it's not worth it, but we can make it fun. And that's what my goal is. So smile, laugh, and giggle. But always remember what's most important for me. Always, guys, be creative. Until the next episode. See you soon.